Hi everyone, Sherry from Granny's Sewing Room stopping in to show you what I'm working on today. Today I'm going to be working on a simplicity pattern, and it is Simplicity 4149. And the one I'm doing will be the one in the picture quarter length sleeve. I'm using a cotton fabric that I got at Hobby Lobby, and it's 100% cotton, and it's got some pretty silver in it. So I'm going to get that laid out, cut out, and I will come back once I start the sewing process. Has anyone told you you're special today? If not, let me be the first. So I got my pieces cut out, and what I do now is I iron them so they're nice and straight, and then I cut them out to the size that I want. So it's real important that you iron all your pattern pieces. So I'm going to get them ironed and cut out to the size I want. The top I'm wearing today, I made this, and this is the It's So Simple McCall's, and it is a L9481. So that's the top I have on today that I made this summer. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pin the front and the back together and pin the bust dart in it, because I'm going to see if I need to do a FB8 on this top. And I'm going to try it on and get it pinned down, and once I get it pinned down, I'll show you my progress. I've got it all cut out and the markings put on it, and the first step is for me to sew some kind of a trim or braid or something on it, and I found this in my ribbons, so I'm going to see if I can sew that on to look halfway decent, and then I will start on the next step, and I believe that's stay stitching the back of the neck, and then doing the darts, and then adding the front interfacing to this. Okay, I'm sewing the braid down, and I'm using a long stitch, a zigzag, to hold it in place there. So my width, I'm using a 3.5 and the length 1.6, and let's see how I can do with one hand. Not too bad. The next step said to stay stitch the back of the neck, and you start from one shoulder and go to the center, and then turn it over and go from the next shoulder and turn it over. So I got that done, and I will read the instructions and see what the next step is. Stay stitch the front neckline as well. And then we are to work on the darts. So I've already got my darts pinned. So I'll get them sewed. Alright, my first dart, and it says to prevent the bubbles, take the last few stitches of your dart. Do not backstitch, and pull out the thread so you can tie a knot. And that's supposed to prevent the bubbles. So that's what I'll do. And I'll get the other one done. Now I'll sew down the center of it where I've got the markings and cut in the middle, and then I'll turn it to the wrong side of the fabric. So let me get that sewed. Now I just cut right down the center, but not through them stitches. And then you're just supposed to fold this over. And press them nice and neat. So let's turn it over and see how it looks. Looking good so far. And now we sew around the neck, up on top of the neck, and tack that down. I don't think that looks too bad. A few more wrinkles I need to get out of there. Now I attach the front to the back at the shoulder seams. I'll get that pinned and get that sewed. You want to match up the clips, your notches, match your notches up. I'll get these sewed down and I'll be back. I have my shoulder seams all stitched and serged. So now I just press it toward the back of the shirt. The next step will be the collar. So I'll get the collar going and I will be back with you. The next step is taking my neck facing and I'm folding it together, wrong sides together, and giving it a press. Then I stitch it and match up the notches on the collar, the back of the collar. And I believe, let's see, and I stitch this 3/8 of a seam allowance. So I stitch it after I get it all pinned 3/8 seam allowance. So I was supposed to sew it with the front on the outside. And now I pin the facing, matching the notches in the back. All right, I have the collar pinned back down, hopefully the right way. I believe it is. Got to stretch it a little bit, so I'm hoping it tucks under there. So I'm going to get that sewed down here. Because now it should just flip to the back. It's good. I'll take you over to the ironing board and we'll check it out. Alright, so I'm turning the facing to the inside of the garment and I'm giving it a good press. And it's looking pretty good. And I'm probably going to use some steam-a-seam to hold it in place once I get it all pressed around here to the inside. Because it doesn't call for top stitching. So I'll get it pressed and show you the next step. Alright, I have the neck facing done and I'm just sewing the side pieces together, getting them pinned and sewed together 5/8 seam allowance. Alright, I'm going to serge the side seams and then I'm going to try it on and get the sleeves done. I got my sleeves pinned together and I'm sewing them. Sewing them up. I'll get them serged, and I will do a basting stitch just around the edge of my sleeve so I can ease it into the sleeve opening. And that way it'll just ease right into the sleeve opening. Alright, I'm going to go get the sides serged and get the sleeves on, and I'll show you the finished product. I wanted to show you how I set in a sleeve. I have the garment inside out, and I put the sleeve on the inside of the garment, right sides together. And then I start pinning, find the seam and put your seams together. Then I find the notches on either side and I start pinning up to the notch. Then the next point I find is the dot you had to put on your markings, the dot you put on the sleeve, top of the sleeve, and you line that up with your shoulder seam. In that gathering, that little gathering I made, I just cinch that up, cinch it until I get that sleeve cap to fit in to that hole. And I just spread it around. And when you get it to fit in there, you just start pinning it and work on the other side. And it's really not difficult. It just eases in there. And turn it around and see how that doesn't fit in there. I just grab the threads down here that I made that long basting stitch and start cinching it up. This is showing poor lighting. And I just have it eased in there. And now it's ready to sew on down because it's just eased in there nicely. When I start sewing at the seam line under the arm. That's where I start and finish. Turning my garment as I go. And I'll turn it inside and let you see what it looks like. I know you can't see, but the seams are right there. Well, I'll get it serged all around, and then I'll get the hem and I will start modeling it for you. Well, here's the finished top, and it is a Simplicity 4149. And I did the view in the picture there, B. I still have to hem it. I like how it turned out. I did a size 16. I cut a 16 out, and then I went to an 18 on the sides. So I had more ease. So the cotton came from Hobby Lobby. It's 100% cotton. And that's what this calls for, laundried cotton. The neck facing was very easy to put in. I just didn't follow the instructions. I just looked at the diagrams. Where you're doing tunic A, I started to do the tunic A, and I was supposed to jump over to tunic B. So, which I didn't do it, but it was an easy enough fix. So that, and I liked how the braid turned out. Turned out nice. Might like to embroider something on one of them at one time. So, finished garment, except for the hem. Still need to hem it. And I think I'm going to like it. I was going to put some of this trimming around the edge of my sleeves, but then I thought it looked too homemade to do that. I was really advertising being homemade. I think the bust darts turned out fine. The sleeves drooped just a little bit for 16, so 14 probably fits me much better sleeve-wise. But then I really need to learn how to do the full bust adjustment or grade it up to a size 16 or 18 once I get past the shoulders. But I'm still learning, so I want to thank you guys all for watching my video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hope I showed you something that you can take away from this video. So once again, thank you. You guys have a great day and a blessed week. Bye-bye.